The house had always been quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet that brings comfort, but the kind that lingers too long, like something was waiting, listening, hiding between the walls. Daniel had noticed it the moment he first stepped inside. Still, he ignored the feeling. After all, it was just a house, and he trusted her. Maya had come highly recommended. Polite, punctual, and soft-spoken, she seemed perfect for the job. With Daniel's demanding schedule and frequent late nights, he needed someone reliable to look after his 2 children. And for weeks, everything appeared exactly as it should be. Until tonight. It started with a sound. A faint thud echoed from upstairs just as Daniel stepped through the front door. He froze, his keys still in hand. The clock read 11:47 p.m. Too late for the kids to be awake. Too late for anything but silence. "Maya," he called out, his voice cutting through the stillness. No response. Another sound followed, softer this time, like a door gently closing. Daniel's chest tightened. Something wasn't right. He kicked off his shoes and moved cautiously toward the staircase. Each step creaked louder than usual, betraying his presence. His mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. Was someone inside? Had Maya left the kids alone? When he reached the top, the hallway light flickered once, then steadied. The children's bedroom door was slightly ajar. Daniel pushed it open. Empty. The beds were neatly made, untouched. His heart began to pound harder. "Emma, Lucas," he called, his voice trembling now. Nothing. Then he heard it again. A whisper. Not words, just breath. Close. Too close. Before he could react, a gloved hand clamped tightly over his mouth, pulling him backward into the darkness of the closet. Daniel struggled, his pulse exploding in his ears. The scent of cleaning chemicals filled his nose as his back hit the wall. Panic surged through him as he tried to shout, but the grip was firm, unbreakable. "Stay quiet," a voice hissed against his ear. "Maya." His eyes widened in disbelief. He turned his head slightly, catching a glimpse of her face in the dim light filtering through the closet door. Her expression was nothing like the calm, gentle Nanny he knew. Her eyes were sharp, intense, almost angry. "Don't make a sound," she whispered again, pressing her gloved hand harder against his mouth. "If you do, they'll hear you." "They." Daniel's body went still. Who was they? His breathing became shallow as he listened. At first, there was nothing. Then, footsteps. Slow, heavy, moving across the hallway floor. Daniel's heart nearly stopped. Someone else was in the house. Maya's grip tightened, her body tense beside his. She leaned closer, her voice barely audible now. "I told you not to come home early." The words sent a chill down his spine. What did she mean? Daniel tried to think, to understand what was happening, but fear clouded everything. His mind flashed to his children. Where were they? Were they safe? Why was Maya hiding with him instead of protecting them? The footsteps grew louder, stopping just outside the closet door. Daniel felt Maya's breath catch. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. Then, silence. A long, unbearable silence. Daniel's eyes darted toward the door, his entire body trembling. He could feel Maya's hand slowly loosening, but only slightly, as if she was deciding something. Trust or danger? Finally, she leaned closer again, her lips brushing his ear. "If you want to see your children again," she whispered, "you have to trust me." Daniel's stomach dropped, because in that moment, he realized something far worse than the intruder outside. He had no idea if Maya was telling the truth, or if she was the real danger all along. Daniel didn't move. He couldn't. Maya's words echoed in his mind, wrapping around his thoughts like a tightening rope. "If you want to see your children again, you have to trust me." Trust her. The same woman who had just dragged him into a closet and silenced him like a threat. Outside, the floor creaked again. Slow. Deliberate. The sound of someone who knew exactly where they were going. Daniel's chest rose and fell rapidly, but he forced himself to stay still. Maya's hand was still near his mouth, not fully covering it now, but ready. Waiting. She leaned closer, her voice barely a breath. "Listen to me carefully. There's no time to explain everything. But I didn't do this to you, I'm trying to protect you." Daniel's eyes searched hers in the dim light. There was something different now. Not anger. Not control. Fear. Real fear. Another step echoed outside. Then a pause. The closet door handle twitched. Daniel's heart slammed against his ribs. Maya's fingers tightened instantly, her other hand reaching silently into her pocket. She pulled out something small and metallic. Daniel couldn't see clearly, but it caught a faint glint of light. The handle turned slowly. A thin line of light cut into the closet as the door creaked open. Daniel held his breath. Through the narrow gap, he saw a figure. Tall, broad shoulders, dressed in dark clothing. The man stepped into the room with unsettling calm, his movements precise, controlled. He wasn't searching randomly. He was checking. Maya shifted slightly, positioning herself between Daniel and the opening. Her body was tense, ready. The man's shadow stretched across the floor as he moved closer to the closet. One step, then another. Daniel felt sweat trickle down his neck. His mind screamed to run, to fight, to do something, but his body refused to respond. The footsteps stopped, right in front of the closet. Silence again, heavy, suffocating. Daniel's eyes flicked to Maya. She was completely still now, her breathing almost non-existent. Whatever she was holding in her hand, she gripped it tighter. Seconds passed. Then, a faint sound came from down the hallway. A child's voice. Dad. Daniel's heart shattered. Emma. The man's head snapped toward the sound instantly. Without hesitation, he turned away from the closet and moved toward the hallway. Fast. The moment his footsteps faded, Maya reacted. She pulled the closet door shut silently and grabbed Daniel by the arm. "We don't have time," she whispered urgently. "They're not supposed to be awake." Daniel finally managed to whisper, his voice shaking. "Who is that? Where are my kids?" Maya looked at him, and for the first time, there was no hesitation in her answer. "They're downstairs," she said. "Locked in the storage room. I moved them there when I realized someone had broken in." Daniel blinked, trying to process. "You hid them?" "Yes," she snapped quietly. "And if you had come home on time like you said, we wouldn't be in this situation." Daniel clenched his jaw. "You think this is my fault?" Maya grabbed his collar suddenly, pulling him close, but this time, not to silence him. "To keep you alive," she hissed. "That man is not alone. There are at least 2 more in the house." Daniel's blood ran cold. 2 more. Maya released him and quickly peeked out of the closet. The hallway was empty, for now. She turned back to him. "We have one chance. We go downstairs, we get your kids, and we get out through the back door." "And if they see us?" Daniel asked. Maya didn't answer immediately. Instead, she opened her hand slightly, revealing what she had been holding. A small knife. Her eyes met his. "Then we don't let them stop us." Another sound echoed through the house. Closer this time. Voices. Low. Dangerous. Maya stepped out of the closet, motioning for Daniel to follow. He hesitated for just a second. Then he made his choice. Trust her, or lose everything. And as he stepped into the dark hallway behind her, Daniel realized something terrifying. This night was far from over. And the real danger was just beginning. Daniel followed Maya into the hallway, every instinct screaming at him to turn back, but there was nowhere safe to go. The house he once called home now felt like a trap, every shadow hiding something dangerous. Maya moved quickly but silently, her steps careful, controlled. She gestured for Daniel to stay close, her eyes scanning every corner as if she already knew where the danger might be. From downstairs, voices echoed again. Low, muffled. One of them laughed. A cold, chilling sound. Daniel's stomach twisted. These weren't just intruders, they were comfortable. Like they had done this before. Maya leaned toward him. "Stay behind me," she whispered. "And don't make a sound unless I tell you." Daniel nodded, his throat too dry to speak. They reached the top of the stairs. Maya paused, crouching slightly to peek through the railing. Daniel followed her gaze. Below, in the dim glow of a single lamp, stood 2 men. One leaned casually against the wall, scrolling through something on his phone. The other paced slowly, glancing toward the hallway every few seconds. "Where's Rafik?" The pacing one muttered. "Checking upstairs," the other replied lazily. Daniel's breath caught. Rafik. The man who had nearly opened the closet. Maya's grip on the knife tightened. 3 of them, she whispered. "Just like I thought." Daniel leaned closer. "Who are they?" Maya hesitated, but only for a second. "They're not here to steal," she said quietly. "They're here for you." Daniel felt like the ground disappeared beneath him. "For me." Maya nodded. "I didn't know at first. But when I saw how they moved," How they ignored everything else in the house, I understood. Daniel's mind raced. That doesn't make any sense. I'm just a witness, Maya cut in. He froze. Her eyes locked onto his. Think, Daniel. What happened this week? Something you saw. Something you weren't supposed to. And then it hit him. 2 nights ago. The parking garage. He had stayed late at work, heading to his car long after everyone else had left. That's when he saw it, 2 men arguing near a black van. One of them opened the back door, and for just a second, Daniel caught a glimpse inside. A person. Bound. Unconscious. Daniel had stepped back in shock, his phone slipping from his hand. The noise had echoed, and the men had looked straight at him. He ran. He didn't report it. He didn't tell anyone. He convinced himself it was nothing, something he misunderstood. But now, they saw me, Daniel whispered, his voice barely audible. Maya nodded grimly. And now they're here to make sure you don't talk. A loud thud echoed from upstairs. Daniel flinched. Rafik, Maya murmured. He didn't find us. That's good, for now. Another voice called from below, sharper this time. You find anything? No, came the reply from upstairs. Empty. Maya exhaled slowly. We need to move. Now. She started down the stairs, keeping low, using the shadows to hide her movement. Daniel followed, his heart pounding so loudly he was sure it would give them away. Step by step, they descended. The 2 men below were distracted, arguing now, their voices rising slightly. I'm telling you, he was here. Then where is he? Maya reached the bottom and motioned for Daniel to stay behind the wall. She glanced toward a door near the kitchen. The storage room, she mouthed. Daniel nodded. His children were just a few steps away. But so were the men. Maya waited. 1 second. 2. Then she moved. Fast. She slipped across the open space, silent as a shadow, reaching the storage room door. Daniel followed, his legs trembling with every step. Just as his hand touched the door handle, a voice cut through the air. Hey! Daniel froze. Slowly, he turned his head. One of the men was staring directly at him. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, everything shattered. He's here, the man shouted. Chaos exploded. Maya reacted instantly, grabbing Daniel and yanking him toward the door. Get inside, she shouted. The other man lunged forward. Daniel threw the door open and stumbled inside. 2 small figures rushed toward him. Dad, Emma and Lucas. Relief flooded him, but only for a second. Behind him, Maya turned, raising the knife as the men charged. The first attacker reached her. And she struck. A sharp cry filled the air. But there was no time to see what happened next. Lock it, Maya yelled. Daniel slammed the door shut, his hands shaking violently as he turned the lock. Heavy footsteps pounded toward them. Then, bang, something slammed against the door. The children screamed. Daniel pulled them close, his heart racing out of control. Another Udar. The door shook. Again. And again. The wood began to crack. Daniel looked around desperately, searching for something, anything, that could help. But deep down, he knew the truth. The door wouldn't hold for long. And Maya was still out there, facing them, alone. The door splintered again. A long crack split through the wood, each Udar shaking the small storage room. Emma clung to Daniel's arm. Lucas buried his face in his chest, both trembling uncontrollably. Dad, what's happening? Emma whispered. Daniel swallowed hard, forcing his voice to stay steady. It's going to be okay, he said, though he wasn't sure he believed it anymore. Another Udar. Louder. Stronger. The lock bent slightly. They were running out of time. Then, silence. Sudden. Heavy. Unnatural. The banging stopped. Daniel held his breath, listening. The children froze too, sensing the shift. From outside, there was a faint scuffle, a thud, then nothing. Seconds passed. Then a voice. Maya's voice. Daniel, open the door. He didn't move. His grip tightened around his children. Daniel, she said again, softer this time, but firm. It's me. They're gone. His mind raced. Was it a trick? Were they forcing her to say that? He stepped closer to the door, his heart pounding. How do I know it's really you? He asked. There was a pause. Then she answered quietly, because I hid your children before you even knew there was danger. Daniel's breath caught. Only Maya could know that. Slowly, carefully, he unlocked the door. It creaked open. Maya stood there, breathing heavily, her uniform slightly torn, her gloves stained, but her eyes were steady. Behind her, the hallway was a mess. One man lay unconscious on the floor, another had fled, and the third was nowhere to be seen. "They're gone," she said. "For now." Daniel stepped out, still holding Emma and Lucas close. He looked at Maya, really looked at her, and everything he thought he knew shifted. "You saved them," he said quietly. Maya shook her head. "We're not safe yet. We need to call the police. Now." Daniel nodded quickly, pulling out his phone with shaking hands. Within minutes, sirens pierced the silence of the night, loud, real, and finally, comforting. Hours later, the house was filled with flashing lights and uniformed officers. Statements were taken, evidence collected. One of the intruders had been captured trying to escape the neighborhood. The others wouldn't get far. Daniel sat on the couch, his children asleep beside him, wrapped in blankets. Across the room, Maya spoke calmly with an officer, explaining everything with clarity and precision. She wasn't just a nanny. She was trained, prepared, brave in ways Daniel hadn't even imagined. When the officer finally left her, Maya walked over. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Daniel stood. "I owe you everything," he said. Maya met his gaze. "You owe your children your attention," she replied gently. "Not just your protection." The words hit deeper than anything else that night. Daniel looked at Emma and Lucas, sleeping peacefully now, unaware of how close they had come to losing everything. He had been so busy, so distracted, that he ignored the signs, the risks, even his own instincts. And it almost cost him everything. "I understand," he said quietly. Maya gave a small nod. "Good." She turned to leave, but Daniel stopped her. "Wait, will you stay?" he asked. "Not just tonight. I mean, with us." Maya hesitated. Then, for the first time, a faint smile appeared on her face. "Yes," she said. "But things will be different." Daniel nodded. "They have to be." Moral of the story. Sometimes, danger doesn't come with a warning, it hides in silence, in routine, in the moments we ignore. Trust is important, but awareness is survival. And the people we overlook, may be the very ones who save us when everything falls apart.